Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is one back. Walk off. Chris Taylor.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Scott Geirman. Welcome to DodgerHeads. I'm some senior staff writer, DodgerBlue.com. I'm here with my good buddy Blake Williams. He forgot that this was a Dodger show, but we talk about a lot of stuff here. I'm going to give him a second to chat about some Patriot stuff. We're just going to do this right away. But Blake Williams, managing editor, round of applause. It's good to have you in, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, Dodger off day. Patriots played their first game of the year today. I had to show a little team spirit here. Undefeated, so good start there for them.
See, chat's already getting on you. Kenny, what's up, guys? Chat, how are you doing? Welcome in. Thursday, off day. Blake and I seem to have a lot of these ones. But what's up, Kira? It's good to have you in, guys. And welcome, everybody. Lot to chat about. Lot to go on, lot to gripe about, stuff I really want to get into about last night's game in particular. Kind of air some stuff out here. A lot of the media, David Vassay, I'm going to echo a lot of the stuff that he's been saying on AM 570 in the last 24 hours, honestly. But we've got a full slate, some stuff to get into here. We're going to chat about, Dodgers alumni weekend, Matt Kemp. We've got to pay some homage to the GOAT, Will Smith a little bit, and then some, future prospect, somebody who possibly could contribute in the future. But immediate thoughts, Blake. How you doing on this Thursday? And about the pulse of the team, talk to me.
Feels like I'm doing better than the team right now. The team has been going through a rough patch, but been good for me so far. I mean, looking forward to the upcoming weekend. Hopefully they can get on track against the Pirates. They got some of their better pitchers going this weekend, so should be fun to see that. And hopefully they start getting healthy soon, which it seems like they're trending in that way, and then things will kind of pick up from there, I'm thinking.
Yeah. So Dodgers are only up 2.5 games on the Padres. I'd have to take a look at some tiebreakers here, but you look in the rearview mirror, it's stuff that we've echoed a bit about, being concerned about the Padres, or at least, taking note of the continuity, the roster that they have, the health at the moment. Diamondbacks, same thing. They've got some pitching reinforcements on the horizon there, and their offense seems to be putting up numbers against some of the best staffs around the league. And right now, Padres are riding a 5-game runner, Diamondbacks 4-game runner, same thing. So 2.5 game lead on the division. It's something that you and I both warned about and been talking about, that the Dodgers do want to win the division. Make no mistake about it. But for the state of where the roster is at, and don't worry, guys, we'll get into it. The fire, the where we need to see a little bit of something. We need to see a little bit of spark somewhere to hopefully get off of that. This is the kind of state the roster's in, with how they're playing, the tools at their disposal, and the lineups that they're going to trot out. It kind of feels like until you have all the tools in your box, like this is kind of what we're going to see for a bit. Because last night could have, at least from my perspective, a lot of people have echoed, you look back, yeah, Gio, lack a little bit of a spark right now. They're playing wounded. They are acting like they're a wounded roster. And with the stuff they're putting out there, and they're reacting like they're a team that they know they've got some bumps going on right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. A lot of their issues are just coming from their lack of health on the current roster right now. When guys start to come back and get healthy, I think this team is good enough to go on a run, and I think they will go on a run. And a lot of it right now, it's looking a little like time to panic, because the Padres are playing well, the Diamondbacks are playing well, and the Dodgers are not playing well. But every team is going to go through ups and downs. So at some point, the Dodgers are going to start playing well. The Padres and Diamondbacks are going to cool off a bit. And that's kind of the optimistic side of things here. But the more pessimistic side is, are the Dodgers going to get hot quick enough to catch the Padres, or keep the Padres behind them? Or if they do end up falling behind them, are they going to play well enough to catch up and hope the Padres fall off enough, or even the Diamondbacks? There's good news about looking ahead to this team, but also, will it come soon enough where you're not putting yourself in a position that costs you down the line?
Yeah. And then with the new, just kind of off the top of my head, trying to piece some things together about division opponents. And now with the expanded schedule, you're playing everyone, and there's limited in division matchups. So all of them count so much more. So when you're getting into a matchup with the Padres, you're getting into a matchup with the Diamondbacks, which the Dodgers will have, I believe, at the end of August. It's a pretty big one. So all of those things are going to be magnified so much more right now on the season series. They're 3-7 against the Padres. Against the Diamondbacks, they're 4-5. So they're teetering on that line there. It's just a matter of who's going to go on a run, who's going to stay there. Can the Dodgers keep pace? If you look at the upcoming schedule, you can see they're going to get pressed a little bit. There are going to be some teams that we talked about it early on when the Dodgers were getting bullied a little bit in different spots. I remember tweeting out like nobody seems afraid of this team. And right now, last night against the Philadelphia Phillies, they're certainly not afraid of the product the Dodgers are putting out on the field. But I'm with you that there is a fair amount to be optimistic about. We're just reiterating this again, getting this off our chest at the very top of the show, so we can put it out there that we are optimistic about what's going to come up here in the next few weeks for the Dodgers. Mookie coming back, Edman. We're all really excited about Tommy Edman returning. Max Muncy, same thing. Get some lineup continuity in there, and hopefully then they'll be playing like a complete team. They'll get their spark back, and then maybe they'll go on a run. And that's exactly what I expect. It's what you have to expect from a team of this caliber, because when that lineup's getting trotted out there, that's who we expect to see. Mookie's feeling, good enough to bypass a rehab assignment, go straight from a sim game right to the active roster. So we'll see when that's up, get something in there. Hopefully Will Smith, gets a little bit of a run, and we'll go from there. But I do think that there's a lot to talk about last night, but I want to save it for a larger portion of our show here. We'll wait for everybody to get in here. 350 in. Shout out to you being here early on. Don't forget, Cole. We'll see. Yeah, third place. Yeah, they might be. Absolutely. Like I'm not gonna act like it's not a possibility. But welcome in everybody. Don't forget, please do us a favor, big favor. Hit the like, subscribe button, notification bell, please. Super chats. Luis just tossed one in here. Blake and I absolutely adore the super chats, just because it throws a wrench right in Blake's schedule and it keeps him here for all eternity. And that's my favorite thing, absolute favorite thing in the whole world, to throw it off so he can't, close his laptop and go on NCAA. But we're going to get into our first one here.
Scott always blames me, but he's the one running the show and ending it when he wants to.
Darn right. Luis, it's bad when I can think of 3 teams in the NL West that are better than the Dodgers. Talk to me, Blake.
I'd push back on that. I don't think the Giants have a very good roster. Like, they have played well at points through the season, but overall they're just not that good of a team. They were selling at the trade deadline. They sold off one of their best bats and went and replaced him with Mark Canha, who we both liked a lot, but he's not like Jorge Soler level. So if you want to talk about like the Rockies, I don't think that's what you're implying here.
Go 2 teams. Come on, we know what he meant.
I mean, yeah, if we want to talk about the Diamondbacks and Padres, I don't think either of them are necessarily better, at least on paper. They're playing better right now, sure. Mm-hmm. But like we said, the Dodgers are very injured, and I know a lot of people brought up Padre injuries, but Fernando Tatis, Yu Darvish, and I think Joe Musgrove is their other one on the IL. That's not really comparable to what the Dodgers have out with Mookie, Muncy, Edman, Yamamoto, Buehler, potentially, like if he can get back to form at all. Even like we'll throw Bobby Miller on there just because he was dealing with the injury and he hasn't fully come back from that. I know he's not injured at this point anymore, but like point made there, he's a talented pitcher that's not with the team because struggles due to his injury. So like there's just a lot there that's hurting the Dodgers, and the Padres are playing hot right now. The Dodgers are not, and we're going to be a little biased about recency. We're not considering like the whole season that the Dodgers have been better than the Padres for the entire year, except for the last few weeks maybe. So yeah, I mean, it looks bleak right now, but I think overall the Dodgers are still the best team in this division, especially once they get healthy.
A lot of people in chat are still fired up about, talking about division stuff. So we'll stay right there. I think I'm just going to do it. By next week, are the Dodgers still in first place?
Who are they playing after the Pirates? Let me pull this up real quick, and then we'll have a better answer here.
Yeah. It's important.
Milwaukee, St. Louis, Seattle, Tampa Bay for the next few series. I'm going to say yes, but it's going to be like half a game.
Okay. So by that, do you buy into the notion that there's got to be some spark? If it's not, this can bleed into it. We could just roll. We saw a lot of people. We heard from the higher ups, the suits at DB, that a lot of people wanted to talk about a spark, some leadership in the clubhouse, leadership in the dugout, and a voice, and the importance of that. And I agree with you guys. Like, I've talked about that. I think Blake and I both have in the passive superstar stuff that, earlier on about Mookie, Freddie, and Ohtani. Where's that fire going to come from? Who's that? Who's the David Freese? Who's the Chase Utley? Where's the Justin Turner? Who's going to speak up? Where's the Adrian Gonzalez at times? Like, where is that fire? Who's going to have that moment? Somebody to rally the troops, get some fire somewhere, manufacture something. And I thought last night was a turning point. Yeah, Matty, man, it's disinterested superstars. I think it's just who they are. They play the game, and that's what it is. The guys like the grit, the built-in stuff where Chase Utley's going to do what it is to absolutely anything. He's going to risk his body to make a baseball play. I'm not sure those guys are currently on this team. Like, we saw some fire from Teoscar Hernandez, but that's kind of the most we've seen. We've seen Ohtani at times get a big hit, and you see some emotion burst out. But last night against the Phillies, Michael Grove hit Castellanos inner hat, like on the hands, but he's got a ton of gear on, 97 on the hands. And then Matt Strahm. Dodgers are down at this point. Matt Strahm just drills Gavin Lux in the back, center in the back, 94 miles an hour. Nothing goes on. And I know a lot of people have varying views on this and the importance of it, the significance of sending a message or standing up for your player, for your team at all. I think that there's a lot to something like that. And it's David Vassegh brought it up, and I give him a lot of credit for this because I forgot that it happened in Houston as well with Framber. There needs to be something. I'm kind of in disbelief that the Dodgers got punked like that. That there's nobody on the roster that said, this is the time they've got to do it. I know Dave got tossed earlier in the game, but I was really disappointed that nobody stepped up there.
I mean, I get it. I think at this point, like, when you're the Dodgers, you don't want to potentially lose any more players to injuries by starting something bigger and having maybe Ohtani getting a hit by a pitch next time, and then he breaks his hand and he's out for X amount of time or anything. Like, it's tough right now for the Dodgers, but you kind of have to control that emotional side of it. I'm sure they're frustrated and want to win, and I'm sure they weren't happy that Gavin Lux got hit. But you start something and it grows bigger, and then you potentially cost yourself something more. Maybe one of your star players gets suspended for 5 games because they were involved in a fight. And then now you're looking at an already injured and hurting team now without Freddie Freeman. He probably wouldn't do anything in a fight, but just that kind of thing. Like, you don't want to lose a player to fighting or anything like that. So I do think some more fire maybe would benefit them. We've talked about that a lot. Like, before the trade deadline, we both kept bringing up Tommy Pham. Just because he's that energy, like, he's not going to care. He's going to go out there and fight. And I do think there is something to having that kind of mentality on the team. But where they are right now, I just don't think it's worth it. And with the team they have, like, there's no point in potentially losing guys for a longer stretch when you're already struggling to win games.
Yeah. I mean, that's where we'll disagree. And I totally understand your viewpoint, but from where the Dodgers are at, I just don't see the fear factor with this team isn't there. Like I said, they're playing with a wounded roster. They're acting like it. And their play for the last 60 plus games shows it. They're hurt in all 3 phases: relief core, starters, lineup. I'm kind of at a loss of words. I checked it out. I was working last night, guys, but I did tune into a lot of it. I rewatched the game. I listened to everything Vassegh said, and I co-signed everything. I was, really at a loss of words for that, because I know it's not the same team, but these guys are all big leaguers. And when something like that happens, this is a Phillies team that you're going to see them again if you do in the playoffs. It's kind of unacceptable in your own home ballpark for this stuff to happen. Honestly, it really is. Like, I get what you're saying, but there's a lot of things you can do in terms of just stepping onto the field, stepping up for your guy. Like, I don't care. Like, Gavin Lux has been playing like your best player. Like, you can't just let that happen and take your base and go to first. There's nothing that you can say. You could tell me risk of injury. Sure. That's with anything. You step on a ball field, there's a risk of injury, but there's something about the mental warfare of a big league season. And you're the Dodgers. You're the Los Angeles Dodgers. Like, you cannot get pushed around in your home ballpark after, you've been struggling for so long. You're waiting for your guys to go up, come back from injury here. You need to have something. So we'll leave it at that. I don't think there's a way that I'll get you. I know your point of view, and everybody, Blake doesn't have the wrong point of view, but he's looking out for the health of the team. And I understand long term, but I think for where they're at as a unit, they need to find some fire, manufacture something. If Dave's not going to do it, I applaud Dave for getting tossed for a ridiculous call at third base, the obstruction call with Miguel Rojas. I'm totally cool with that. Something else has to happen. They've got to find something. And I think that it's a lot of that continuity is going to come back once you get Mookie back. Freddie gets into a role, I saw somebody mention that, let Freddie take some time. 100%. I agree with you. I'm very proud of the fan base for the ovation. I haven't been on here since they did it. But let's get some pressure off of Will Smith's back, move him down the lineup there, get everybody in, and then we roll. We talked about this the last time, but I'm just super disappointed in how their response was. So I hope they understand that, they feel it, and they go about it going forward, because it's just too many. I think, what did Dave say? David Vest say? He goes, there's too many, might have been Petros. He goes, too many aw shucks type of guys in this roster. And that's how they were last night. They've been playing like that for 60 plus. And that's how they were last night after just a ridiculous beanball that didn't have to have that nonchalant of a reaction.
I do agree with that aw shucks sentiment there. Like,
sorry for the rant, Blake, but that I hate to see a roster like this in a franchise like this just go down at the moment here.
Yeah, I think the other thing for me though is like whatever comes from those kind of things, like they all step on the field and yell at each other, and then they go back to the dugout and nothing really changes or anything. Like, to me, those things always kind of end up as a lot of nothing, and there's no real upside to it, in my opinion. It's just kind of creating more risk if anything does happen later. So I get what you're saying, and I tend to agree to a point of it, but I just don't see any real reward from doing anything like that. They would have retaliated or jumped on the field and said things like, just, it is what it is there, I guess.
Yeah, I know a lot of people and think, I get what you're saying, buddy. I really do. Flat out. Like, from a pure baseball logistics standpoint, there's the upside. I just don't see, like, you have to look at it and be like, okay, if they lose a player here, but they're already playing like garbage. They're already playing like they suck. Looks like they feel like they suck. And that's not a winning attitude for this team. You've got to have something. Home ballpark. Could Joe Kelly just blew a lead, or was already down? He just blew the game out. And then Gavin Lux, who's been playing like your best player, gets plunked. And this happened twice, I think, so it's something for me that I'm going to have to see them, not retaliate. I'm not looking for them to get back at another team, because it's with the Phillies, and it's just a matter of where's the fire? Are we going to see it? I'm just letting everybody know I'm just highly disappointed in the reaction there. And if we're going to see them get back in their groove, it's going to be when they get that full roster. And then hopefully we get to see them get that spark and hit that stride. But we're going to get into something that is exciting for us, exciting for Dodger fans, a little bit of a lighter note, something to look forward to this weekend. We get to honor a lot. We get to honor a lot of Dodgers alumni, a lot of GOATs in the organization. Dodgers alumni weekend. They're going to honor more than 40 players are going to be back, 16 Hall of Famers, 18 Rookie of the Year award winners, 12 MVP players, 12 Cy Young winners, accolades, filling up the cabinet. Just incredible stuff here. Walter O'Malley, president of Dodgers from 1970 to 1998, will become the 15th member of the Dodgers Ring of Honor. Blake, what are you most excited for about this weekend?
For me, it's going to be the thing we're going to talk about in the next little segment here with Matt Kemp coming back. I mean, yeah, he was one of the players who, like, when I was growing up, he was one of the guys that got me into baseball, like the team with Kershaw in his young years, and then Ethier, Kemp, Manny, like those were the fun years for me growing up on baseball there. And then I think seeing a lot of the older guys, like, who I'm not as familiar with, coming back, I think that'll be kind of cool to see them all. And yeah, I mean, it should just be a fun weekend, like 3 days of celebrating players of the past and from all the different generations and everything. Like, I think it'll just be a lot of fun. 2 bobblehead days, Dusty Baker and Matt Kemp, so should be good.
Yeah, we have the, I'm just going to go through a few of the names. If anybody wants to, hasn't read the list, don't know where the list is at, I'm just going to go a couple of my favorites. Tommy John, Jerry, shout out to Jerry Harrison, Big J Hayes going to be there. Utility man, turned in, I think, a 16-year career in the big leagues. That's just terrific. Eric Gagne, Steve Sachs, Fernando Valenzuela, Mickey Hatcher, Steve Yeager, Manny Mota, Sean Green, Nomar, and EK. Man, I'm a big Eric Karros fan since he's joined the broadcast booth. I think that he's been terrific. It's always a joy when he's there. I wish he was in the booth some more. But an entire list, absolutely stocked. Andre Ethier, Dusty Baker, and a real special day for a lot of Dodger fans. The nostalgia is going to be through the roof. And I think that it's just going to be a really good collection. I'm excited for the fans of new, fans of old, get in the building and checking it out on TV. You're going to get to see a big piece of Dodgers history and a lot of what has kind of made me a fan personally, because I can tell you a lot of what has come up, in my upbringing. A lot of these guys have some big time core memories for me. Matt Kemp, especially Eric Karros, early days, like Nomar Garciaparra, the walk-off in a 4-homer game. Some really cool stuff there. Who are you most excited for? Matt Kemp, I know. Anybody else on that list?
Andre Ethier, another guy. One of the guys I grew up watching a lot. I think Eric Gagne coming back again. School, they already kind of honored him earlier in the year, but he's you and Jeff, both big Gagne guys, so I think that'll be cool to see that him. Reggie Smith is going to be there. I met him when I was a kid. He has a baseball practice area in the valley here, so it'd be cool to see him come back. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of former players. Dave Roberts going to be there. Any Dave Roberts fans in the chat here can get some love for him.
That's going to be, they'll reunite for the alumni grand reunion on the 10th, ahead of the 6:10 start time. So look forward to it. Try to grab some tickets there and make it out. It's going to be a fun weekend. And then we're going to give the floor. We're going to give the floor to the big Bison, the big 27. We're going to give it right to Matt Kemp. I'm excited for this one because Matt Kemp, for me, gave me not only gave us the best run in his early career with the Dodgers, but the 2018 season. Dodgers don't make the World Series. Dodgers don't make the playoffs. Not even close without 2018 Matt Kemp. Go ahead, Blake. Take it away.
I mean, yeah, he's probably one of the best Dodger center fielders of all time. It was sad his career was cut a little shorter by the injury, but it was, of course, great to see him come back. And he was just an exciting player. He was a speed and power guy that's become more common now, but it was pretty rare back then. He, of course, had his MVP stolen by Ryan Braun, but I think we all know Kemp was the MVP that year and probably could have got to that 40-40 year if they played the full 162, but they had the one game canceled for whatever reason it was that season. And yeah, I mean, he was always fun to go out there and watch. He was the reason you went to the ballpark as a Dodger fan from those years, was it 2010 to 2015 or whatever it was. He was around, as that main guy there. So yeah, I mean, one of their home drafted and developed guys. There's a lot to love about Kemp. So it should be fun to see him come back, retire as a Dodger, and celebrate Kemp for a day because it's been a while since he's been around, and now he's in a front office role with the team. So looking forward to seeing him come back.
Yeah, Kenny's got it spot on. He's a legit superstar. Dated Rihanna, playing on fire. He's got swagger, man. Matt Kemp, we're just going to go through his career accolades with the Dodgers. /292 batting average, 348 on base, 494 slug. Ended his career as a Dodger, 127 OPS plus. He's going to retire as a Dodger. That 2018 season, going into it, a lot of people believe they were just going to DFA him, just cut him. I remember that. I remember a lot of the chatter was they brought him over and that was it. I remember going to spring training that year. I took a photo of it, him on the on-deck circle in spring training, and I was like, I can't believe he's back, man. It's just insane. So makes a team, goes on a tear, absolutely hits the ground running, playing with joy. Iconic photo. Do you know how many All-Star selections Matt Kemp had in his career?
It's probably lower than we think.
Nobody in the chat, give him the answer, please. Nobody. Don't look at it.
I say like 2 or 3.
He had 3. He had 3 entire career.
Yeah, he had a lot of injury issues. And...
Yep, 2011, 2012, 2018. And then we get the iconic photo with him and Manny Machado in the All-Star game. And then Manny becomes a Dodger. And then they went on a run. Improbable team. So I'm excited for Matt Kemp. I'm excited for him to retire a Dodger. He's someone that when he retired, when he stopped playing, that tenure ended with the Dodgers. And then he had the blip with the Rockies. And then he kind of was figuring it out from there. We went to the Reds and the Rockies. I was upset because it was like a chapter of my childhood just absolutely going away. Iconic swing, iconic player. I think it was Bryce Harper's major league debut when he made the walk-off catch in center field. I believe that was it. I was at that game, and I'll never forget that stuff, man. So it's going to be a cool thing. I'm excited for it. I'm jealous of everybody who gets to attend. You're going to be there, right?
Yeah, me and I believe Matt will also be there. So we're going to try and get all the Kemp coverage that we can. And yeah, should be fun.
What's the giveaway?
The Kemp bobblehead.
Then I'm going to have to buy a ticket and I'm going to have you pick that up for me.
All right. I'll see if I can get you one. Maybe one of the beat writers will come through for you.
Yeah. Hope so. All right. Something, so, a topic of a linchpin piece in the offense, somebody who Blake and I both think is a product of the lineup not having the same oomph and not having the full collection of pieces together is Will Smith. We both think that he's going through a couple things because Will Smith has been playing very subpar ball for quite some time, a few months now. Initial thoughts on Will Smith?
I'm concerned because it seems like every year he starts out really strong and then he tails off near the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Good thing is he's also still had some postseason moments, so hopefully that won't be a concern by then. But yeah, it just seems like a common theme with him that every year he starts out really hot and then just starts to cool off and becomes more of a league average to below league average offensive catcher near the end of the season. And normally when the Dodgers are the Dodgers and they're healthy and playing well, like it's not a big deal. But with the current team right now, it's amplified a lot and they're putting a lot of pressure on him to perform, batting in the second or fourth spot wherever he's batting every night. So they need him to step up at this moment. And so far he hasn't been able to do that. And it's a pretty concerning timeline, like of how long he's been struggling. It's not just the last week or the last 2 weeks or whatever. Like it's been a downtrend for quite a while now, especially after how hot he started the year. We had a lot of high expectations for him. He got the contract extension for 10 years. And since then, it's kind of been downhill pretty rapidly.
Yeah. So since June 1st, 43 games since, he's got somebody else in chat's going to put it up there. They already know. Since June 1st, Will Smith is second to last of the 12 qualified catchers in WRC Plus with 77. He is only in front of Patrick Bailey, who has 20 more plate appearances on him. So Will Smith, of those 12 catchers, he's got the least games. So he is riding them. People asking a little bit more rest for him. He's getting rest. Stuff's just not clicking. Right now, like since that span, we're talking about a 631 OPS for quite a bit. 188 plate appearances is a pretty big bit. He think he's got the second highest strikeout rate, third highest strikeout rate of those qualified guys. So he looks very lost. And I agree with you. It's time to panic a bit. I just feel like, man, chats, you guys are saying some wild stuff. I think it's time to hit the panic button because he's one of the people that has been pushed into the top of the lineup. And it's concerning that he hasn't been able to gain a foothold up there and stick. But I know Kenny in the chat brought it up, and I know, Blake, you put it in our side notes. Will Smith's trends the last 2 years are kind of the same trajectory. He starts off hot and then just begins to tail out. Last year was a lot of concern with the concussions, and that was a big key point. But this year, Can we really bank on him just being tired? Is that okay for someone? I think he's 29. Like, is that enough? Is that just enough to sign that off? Because in 2021 and 22, he played 130 and 137 games. He has had near 600 plate appearances in his career. And of those years, this is going to be on track to be his worst offensive season.
I'm not sure it's about being tired. It could be, but the Dodgers do a really good job of giving him off days and doing their best to keep him fresh. So maybe there's something to that, but I just don't really buy into that. I'm not sure what goes on with him. It might be a little fatigue. At the same time, like, being a catcher on an everyday basis is hard, but other guys have been able to do it, like Sal Perez and JT Realmuto have played on nearly an everyday basis for the last 7 years plus now for both of them. Mm-hmm. And they've been able to keep up their offensive production. So it is concerning. I want to say maybe pitchers are adjusting to him, but he's not like a rookie coming into the league anymore or a really young player. It's been 6 years or whatever so far of him at the major league level. So it's concerning for sure. And I think last year we kind of brushed it off as he had his concussion and the broken ribs issue or the fractured rib, whatever it was. But this year there's no clear thing to point back at and say hey, his numbers dropped off right at this point because of this injury or this happened. So I don't know what to make of it. And it's definitely a concern for the team.
Yeah. I'm going to have somebody, hallelujah. Thanks, man. Again, guys, toss those super chats in. This is, Blake and I want to just toss the, get those on there, halt what we're doing. Those get priority over everything. But if you want to know what my lineup will be when all things are equal, everybody's back. It's going to be Ohtani, Mookie, Freddie, Teoscar, Muncy, Will Smith, Gavin Lux. And then this spot's for, kind of a platoon spot here. Andy Pajes, and then whoever you else think. Tommy Edman in the 9. I think that getting Will Smith out of the top 4 is a big thing. Do you kind of agree with that?
I think so. I think there's a lot of pressure on him right now to produce. He's coming up in big spots where the offense has been struggling overall, and maybe he's chasing a little more or not looking for his pitch, being too aggressive sometimes. So that could be playing into it. I think taking some of that pressure off him will help, because there are guys who they're stars, but they're more complementary pieces instead of the guys you can rely on to be superstars and take all the spotlight. We know Will Smith is not a guy who likes the spotlight. He likes to stay out of the limelight and kind of just be the hidden guy who will come up and hurt the team when it's not expected. So I think there is maybe something to that, and getting him in a lower spot, taking some of that pressure off him might end up helping him. Maybe that is the reason, but maybe it's a mix of fatigue and just being a little overwhelmed with the pressure and all that kind of stuff mixed in. So I don't know, but I do think that might end up helping him.
Yeah. I mean, a big plus for him is he's been throwing a lot of guys out, and his defense has taken an uptick there, and defense doesn't slump. So at the very, very least, his defense is there, but it's at a spot where the offense is something that he's been an anchor. He should have been. I know, Alex, what happened to the Big Four? They broke for a bit. It's hard to play top end baseball when your top slab is the only thing you kind of have. Mookie out for an extended period of time. Freddie, we all know what happened there. Ohtani thrust into the leadoff spot. So there's ways to pitch around them. It's tough when you're dealing with just possibly 3 guys at the top of your lineup where you're saying, okay, this is what we've got to go off of, but they've got to be better. They've got to hit it in and go straight through it. Yeah. BC early on, it seemed like there was a big 4, big 5 with Teoscar with what he's doing. But they've got to hit the ground running. There is no time. There is absolutely 0 time for them to spin the wheels. Will Smith has to be a big part of it. Because of what Blake said, he has the ability to, come up big in the off, the postseason. We've seen it. Otherwise, they'll be seeing the off season. Everybody's got to be clicking. If you were, Dave, and I know you'd make a couple better decisions than Dave, with Will Smith, is it time off? do you just keep plugging away, or do you think that when the lineup comes back, that'll figure itself out just because of the pressure of being pushed up in the lineup and being bounced around a little bit too much?
I would try and have a talk with Will Smith about what's going on. Like, if he thinks it's just the baseball side of things and just kind of the ups and downs of the season, then I think you let him play through it. If Smith gives any indication it's fatigue, maybe you give him 3 or 4 days off and kind of go from there, see if that helps him reset. Maybe you wait and see if it is the lineup. And once you get guys healthy and you can drop him down in the lineup, if he starts producing more, like talk to him. Are you feeling the pressure? Do you want to be moved down in the lineup? Maybe see some different pitches because you won't be in the 2 or 4 spot anymore. Like, I think it is up to Dave Roberts to talk to him and try and figure out what's going on specifically. And then you address that, because for me, like, when I don't actually know what the issues are behind it, it's hard to give the fix for it. So I think it just starts with having a conversation and Will Smith being honest about what's going on and why he feels he isn't producing. And I know he has said to the media, like, he thinks it's just the ups and downs of the baseball season and he's not worried about it. But it is a trend now where it's happening every single year, where he's tailing off at the back end of the year.
Yes.
So I think there is more to it than just the ups and downs of a season. So you kind of just have to go from there after talking to him and maybe try multiple different things to get him back on track.
He's got to come up. He's got to produce. He's got to turn it around. They need everybody. They truthfully need everybody. Starting pitching wise, they're going to need him. Offense, you're going to need everyone. You can't expect every single player to turn it around, but with the superstars, the guys who are on those, big contracts, they've got to step up. They've got to be there. There's no room for the type of slumping that Will Smith has had the last 2 years going on. But I believe in the pedigree. I believe in that. But it's just been a tough run for him that I think has been, elongated and exaggerated because of the lack of protection in the lineup and bouncing around a bit. Who knows? They don't tell us about injuries. So who knows? He might be dealing with something. They just say, we can't afford to lose you. We can't afford to lose you. So if you find anything out, if anything comes out there, that's something that we'll take note of. But he's in a rough slump, and it's been a considerable amount of time. Ozzy, thank you so much for the super chat, $5. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here. If Barnes was hitting this bad, they would want to cut him. So they should feel pressure and step it up in September.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I think the players aren't feeling like the fan pressure like that. I think they want to produce because they're competitive and they've made it to the majors because of that competitive fire, and they want to go out there, produce, and do well. But I guess I would kind of turn this around. Every time Austin Barnes is in the lineup or pinch hitting, there's still a ton of criticism about him. But in that same stretch, we were talking about Will Smith with his 77 weighted runs created plus being one of the worst offensive catchers in baseball. Austin Barnes is a 127 weighted runs created plus. He's hitting 333 with a 385 on base, a 400 slug. That's
since June?
Since June 1st. That's the 14th most valuable offensive catcher in baseball. So I know this might sound crazy, but is there a point where you consider starting Austin Barnes for the foreseeable future?
That's crazy. Yeah, it's Monty Grandal situation, except Will Smith's on a much higher profile and substantial contract. And can Barnes do that again for the third year? I don't know. All things equal, everybody else in the offense is clicking. Can they afford that? Sure. Well, we'll see. That's a storyline that's going to have to, pan its way out. But I just don't know how much would that shock everybody. That'd be bigger than the earthquake we had the other day. Triple that. It would rock houses. It wouldn't feed families at all.
Yeah. Austin Barnes' sample size is pretty limited, but he did have that 10 game hitting streak going, something like that. Like, he's been coming through hitting every time he starts. He's coming through. Like, I think maybe he should get a bigger run. I don't know if I'm ready to say full-time start him, but if they switch every other day for the time being until Will Smith gets back on track, I think that could be a benefit for them. We're at the point where if Austin Barnes cuts his production in half, he's slightly worse than what Will Smith has been doing this year. 130 to the 70. That's crazy. Weighted runs created plus difference between them. So maybe it is time to give Austin Barnes some more run and try and help Will Smith get on track. Maybe some more work in the batting cages on days off where he can just focus on his swing instead of dealing with the pitching staff and everything that goes along with being a major league catcher. So let's see. Maybe give Austin.
Yeah, I just think you have to just keep, if we get to that point, I think that's dire straits. I'm in with Jake. Like, you've just have to keep running Will Smith out there. You just have to run Will Smith out there for what he does defensively, throwing runners out. The upside has to be there. You have to keep banking on him. Putting Austin Barnes in there and then running that sense, it'd be different if it was like a catcher platoon, like the Braves have at times. But I don't think we're at that point. Yeah, the real AB, Alex. I see you, man. What's up, Kevin? He's got to, yeah, KP. Like he has to take a little breather, but I don't think they can afford to do it. They just can't. Hunter Fiducia ain't it. But that leads us into our next thing. Top prospect, Dalton Rushing. Is he getting ready to join the Dodgers, Blake?
Seems like it might be trending that way a little bit. They've promoted him to AAA after he started the year in AA and played pretty well. But the main thing about that is his last few games in AA, he started playing left field.
Yep.
And then he gets the call up to AAA, and their manager says he's only going to play left field with OKC. So the Dodgers need some outfield help. They need a lefty bat.
Yes, they do.
Kind of connecting the dots there. Could be seeing Dalton Rushing before the end of the season. I think that would be interesting. I think they're open to the possibility of it. I don't think they'd be making this move now if they weren't somewhat open to it. I think they'd make that change in the offseason if they had him in their long-term outfield plans.
Yeah.
So I do think it is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I'm definitely athletic enough. He's moved around a bit. I agree with you. They would make this move now if it wasn't like having an outside chance. They do need that bat. They have desperately needed a left-handed bat because as we look around the league, specifically with the Arizona Diamondbacks and the money that the Dodgers gave Jason Hayward to be a left-handed platoon bat against right-handed pitching, and then you have Jock being one of the best hitters against right-handed pitching for the contract that he's on. That's a wild scenario that they found themselves in. And I think it's a massive oversight on the front office to not have a surefire or someone who you believe in a little bit more from the left-hand side, which is why Dalton Rushing, there could be some light there. I know we joked about it around the trade deadline that it might have just been showcasing some versatility, but we're past that now. And now with the nod and the promotion to AAA, he's in absolutely a position where he can, and he's showing those splits against right-handed pitching. But we're getting to a point where he's a guy that you have to consider, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we talked about it a lot in the offseason that their platoon options were not good. Like we both had concerns about Jason Hayward. We had concerns about Kike. We had concerns about Chris Taylor. There are concerns about Miguel Rojas. I mean, he has proven those wrong, but the rest of the group has not performed well, and they've kind of neglected their bench and platoon options there. So
yeah,
if Rushing is a guy who can step in and kind of fix that, I think it would make a lot of sense for this team where they are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the splits that Rushing's put up against right-handed pitching this year, he's got a 905 OPS. I know we're talking about minor league stuff, but if he gets in that rhythm, it's someone that it's again to be the same conversation. Are the Dodgers really going to platoon another prospect, another rookie? For this season, they just might. They need the help that bad. They truthfully do. They really do. But we got a nice super chat here. Alfonso, thank you so much, man. $10. We appreciate you. Why didn't Freeman go after a big bat if they still had top prospects they could have used for a trade? Instead, they traded for Kiermaier. Blake, I'll let you start this one off, and I think we're going to be on the same line here about the pieces they picked up and how they all gel.
So for the Kiermaier trade, it was Ryan Yarbrough for Kiermaier. Like it was a guy they DFA'd for another guy who was earlier DFA'd. I don't think that was preventing them from doing anything else there. Me and Scott both like Tommy Edman and Ahmed Rosario as pieces. Mm-hmm. We both wish they would play Rosario more than they have, but Robert seems to think of him exclusively as a platoon option. And of course, Edman's hurt. So you're not seeing the immediate return on both of them. We've kind of talked about it all year. The key for them is getting healthy. They have the superstar talent in place already, and it was just about raising the floor of the 7, 8, 9 hitters. So far, Gavin Lux has stepped up a ton, and we give him a lot of credit for that. And it looks like he is a piece to the solution to fixing the bottom of their lineup when everyone's healthy. We both believe Tommy Edman's going to be about league average, and that's good enough for your 9-hitter.
Yes.
If they call up Dalton Rushing and go with him and Ahmed Rosario as your outfield platoon there, like that would be fantastic. That would solve a ton of their lineup issues, because then after Shohei, Mookie, Teoscar, Freddie, Muncy, Smith, then you have Rushing, Rosario, Edman, and Gavin Lux is your 7, 8, 9. And that's a fantastic lineup. The other side of it is there wasn't really any good bats available that fit their specific needs. Like, sure, maybe Randy Arozarena would have been great, but center field was a bigger issue at the time than the corner outfield spots. And other than Arozarena, what impact bat got traded? There wasn't really anyone who did get traded. Jazz Chisholm was a guy we talked about, but even before he got traded and kind of went on his hot streak, every time we mentioned him, it was a ton of people saying, no, don't go get him. He's not good. He's overrated. So there just wasn't really any impact guys available. And you don't want to like force a trade. You don't want to go overpay with Dalton Rushing plus 2 other pieces to get Arozarena if they didn't feel comfortable with that. And sometimes teams just don't match up on deals. So there's a lot that went into it. I'm sure they tried to look at other bats and what they could do to upgrade, but I do think they did a pretty good job at the trade deadline.
Yes, I agree. And again, yeah, Alfonso, thanks for the super chat again. Again, guys, toss those in there. You've been on a heater with all those lately. Kenny, real quick, I've seen this brought up a lot about Kiermaier just being so expendable. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be that easy. I don't think you make a trade for him to do that. You agree there, man?
Yeah, I mean, especially with him retiring after the year, I don't think that's a Friedman type move to DFA him and let him just go somewhere. Like, he probably wouldn't get picked up by another team. And then you're kind of looking at like you just ended his career on a DFA. And I know Friedman has a ton of respect for Kevin Kiermaier. I think they acquired him to be a defensive upgrade in their outfield. If Pages is their starter for the rest of the year there, then you have Kiermaier who can come in late in games. It was to allow James Outman to go back to the minor leagues and keep working on his swing and his hitting instead of having him be your defensive sub. So I just don't really see it. I think they would option Pages. I think they would DFA Nick Ahmed before making that kind of move. And if it comes down to like Kiermaier versus Kike or Kiermaier versus Chris Taylor, then maybe you have that discussion. But I feel like they'd utilize the IL until the playoffs, when then they can just leave guys off their roster and not have to DFA them.
I think this looks like a plan right here. All starting the move for Mookie is Mookie for Ahmed, Pages' option for Tommy Edman, and then you wait for the September call-ups for Muncy. And I saw somebody else in chat bring up that the Dodgers posted a video of Max Muncy swinging. They're both on track. Tommy Edman, yes, Ederico, I know you saw you bring it up. Yeah, Tommy Edman will be back. Does this seem like an okay plan to you? Or do you see Muncy being back prior to September?
I think that's probably the right idea. Muncy might come back earlier if there's another injury or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems like the set kind of idea for them.
Okay. All right. We want to talk about butane. We want to talk about Walker Buehler.
Do we? Should we wait for him to actually come back?
We could wait. We'll bring up. Yeah, Jesse brought it up. Yeah, 5 innings tonight, 1 run, 5 punch. Still 3 walks today. But we'll see. We'll see how he is, what he brings to the table. I know his fastball characteristics, same type of stuff. Nothing that we really want to love. But we'll just have to see. I refuse to believe he's back or he's going to have a strong run until we actually see it. It feels like a call up that they're just doing because they just have to find out. They have to find out for the sake of his career, like going forward contract year. You just have to see. one last effort. If it's bad, then it's bad, and we won't see it again. Yeah, Chris. I mean, I know he was solid, but again, his stuff can do whatever it is in AAA. But he's got to prove it at the big league level. Show the full arsenal. Show that he's able to pitch without having elite stuff anymore, while being able to throw more than just a 4-seam fastball. Keep stuff in around the zone and go from there. Yeah, it was a good outing. We'll see from there. He's got to stack them. But we're just going to roll into questions. Unless you guys have anything else, toss those in. Keep Blake here all night. We appreciate you guys a ton. Thanks for joining us. Ederico, I'm going to go back to this one here. Will the current situation affect Teoscar's mindset towards staying in LA after this year? I don't think so, almost at all. I feel like Teoscar wants to be a Dodger. He loves the fans. He loves the atmosphere. He likes the class of the organization. Again, I'll bring it up. I don't remember like a player like this on a 1-year deal that has been so bought in to a team. Home Run Derby, wants to do it, makes the All-Star team, fan favorite immediately, showing emotion, has big spots, multiple, is built for the big spot. And those are the type of guys you need to keep in an organization. If they've done it, you have to do it. I know that's a soft spot for Blake just because of the real number 5 who showed up in the big moments and they let him fly to the wind. But I think Teoscar genuinely wants to remain a Dodger. I think that they'll just wait towards the back end of the year to really talk about a deal going forward. But all right, guys, toss those questions in. How many starts for Buehler? No, like for the rest of the year, Kenny? Like
4. It'll probably be more. I think they're going to option Stone and try and give him a break and let him get back on track and see how Buehler does. If he has 2 blow-up starts in his next 2 outings, they probably end up pulling the plug on that. If he shows some signs of life, then they'll probably just let him keep going. So maybe they go to like 8 again or something like that. But I think it might be dependent on how he does and how the rest of the pitching staff is looking.
Mm-hmm. Right on. All right, guys, remember, put all caps question, toss those in there. Blake's going to highlight those for us. Noisy Ninja, good to see you. How does RVS still have a job, only scoring in 1 inning, chasing off the plate, taking strikes, always trying to hit home runs? It's maddening to watch. It's a frustrating brand of offense. I would still like to encourage everyone to remember that the quality of player. But again, it feels like an offense when it's not working. It's super, super contagious, and that's a rough watch. But RVS the hitting coach has definitely taken a ton of heat. What are your thoughts on RVS, Blake?
I have a lot of thoughts on RVS, and I'm not sure how to put them all in.
I know Noisy Ninja would like to hear him. I'd like to.
I think there's a lot of stuff he does and says that is consistent with every other coach now and the general consensus around baseball. I know a lot of people like to complain about like focusing on launch angle and stuff, but launch angle has always been a focus among players. It just didn't have that terminology behind it. Like Ted Williams always talked about hitting the ball up instead of hitting the ball on the ground and hitting line drives and stuff. And that's the same thing RVS is talking about. It's just he's putting it into math kind of terms, or we're thinking about it as math. I don't think he's telling the players like you need to have a 20-degree launch angle or whatever. Like, so I don't think firing him would make a huge change because it is an organizational and just baseball philosophy in general. I think a lot of the current struggles are emphasized right now because of the health of the team and the quality of players they're running out. I think the Dodgers offense has been really good pretty much every season over the past however long RVS has been here. I think it's like 2016 or something like that when he was hired. Last year, they set the runs record for the franchise with a group that we didn't think was very good heading into the year. They won 100 games because their offense was incredible. But then, like, those are all points to saying, like, RVS is doing fine. It's up to the players to perform at the end of the day still. I think hitting coaches are generally overrated. But at the same time, like, my negative against it is you see all these other hitting coaches go to different organizations that come from the Dodgers, and they end up getting fired pretty quickly because the organization doesn't like them. So is that, like, something with the Dodgers specifically? Are those guys just maybe being carried by Van Scoyoc, and then when they go somewhere else, they're not able to handle it kind of thing. So like, yeah, I don't really know. There's positives and negatives for him. My main consensus though is just that like hitting coaches are pretty generally overrated in baseball, and they're kind of just used as a scapegoat for when the front office didn't put a roster together that can perform well enough to win. It's easy to just say like, oh, it's the hitting coach's fault. It's not my fault. I put the talent here, but they're not hitting. It's you. So I don't know. Maybe a change would be good, but would it fix anything? Probably not.
I like this question here. Robert said last night that the best player is going to play going forward. How much weight we put into that, I don't know. Does that mean that Gavin Lux faces lefties the rest of the season? Answer the first part first, and then tie Lux in there. What do you think about that statement from Dave Roberts, knowing that of what he said about Ahmed Rosario, about we just didn't acquire him to be, an everyday guy or play versus everything. Like, what do you make of that?
I don't really believe that fully. I think Rosario would be playing there every day. I don't think Kike would be starting every day. I think Dave Roberts doesn't fully follow that concept. He says he does always, but he doesn't actually follow through with it. So, yeah, I'm not really buying that from him. Does Lux face lefties the rest of the year? No, I don't think so. I think he's going to end up platooning a lot with Rojas and Rosario and maybe even Mookie there at second. So I think Lux is going to stay in a platoon role.
I thought it was so funny because I see people in chat, Kenny talking about Ahmed Rosario splits. Ahmed Rosario had more at bats versus righties than he did lefties, and he's doing just as fine. Like, from what the Dodgers need, that's an everyday guy. If you're talking about the best player going forward, there's no reason for him to ever be out of the lineup. It's just you can't get me to sign up there. I want to put this one up just because I just had it. Oh my God, I didn't favorite it. But I think somebody said if Kershaw retires, I can't find the thing, but if Kershaw retires, is Austin Barnes and the Dodgers in 2025. Now he has a club option next year for $3.5 million. And we have spoken a ton of times about how backup catchers, they're the good ones, like decent ones, are tough to find. And what Austin Barnes brings, is he a Dodger in 2025?
Yeah.
There's no buyout on his contract, by the way. They could just decline, no cash.
Yeah, he'll be a Dodger in 2025.
You heard it here. Everybody grip your phone super tight or grip your mouse super tight, whichever.
I mean, they're not replacing him with Fiducia. I don't see them going out and spending money on a backup offensive catcher, or like a slightly better offensive catcher. There's not too many good catchers to begin with. They value what he brings to the clubhouse and to the pitching staff. I just don't really see it unless Diego Cartaya just completely runs away with what he's doing in AAA and takes off, and you need to make spot for him. But I just don't see them making that change.
Yeah. And the Dalton Rushing playing left field. I at least I'm happy about them for moving some catching prospects. We talked about this a lot, chat, about they're just logjam players. Move some of them. Y'all are not familiar with the real AB. I mean, I respect Austin Barnes for what he's done, like what his piece to the roster is. Like, I respect him for, what he can bring. It's not spectacular. It's just a backup catcher that can be solid with the pitching staff and provide something. I wish he was an elite framer, because then I'd be like, yeah, when he's in there, you can start fooling umpires, and then we have a plus thing there. But he's just who he is. We have the same haircut. So, I mean, I guess we have some bond. I don't defend the guy, but they traded Thayron Lorenzo. Dalton Rushing is now a left fielder. Will Smith is the catcher for the long term. There's your backup catcher. I'd hate to say it, guys. Yeah, history man, but he's got a club option for 2025. 2025, $3.5 million. Like, that'll get picked up. If they want him to be there, it's cheap. They don't have to worry about it. You don't have to bring somebody else in. But by all accounts, I mean, the Dodgers are focusing in on Will Smith at the top. You can start to thin out your catching depth going forward and try to find maybe your starting left fielder with a former catcher prospect. What are your actual thoughts on that? Are you like, was that weird to you, them putting Dalton Rushing in left field?
No, because I think they want to find a spot for him. Like, first base is locked up by Freddie Freeman. He's not playing second or short. He's not playing center. So you're kind of left with an outfield spot or third base. Muncy's at third for at least 2 more years, I think, with his contract. So you got to find somewhere to put him or trade him, and they didn't trade him.
Yeah, I mean, on this, if Rushing can play both catcher and left, isn't that a win-win scenario? Sure. Yeah, versatility matters. He's not as elite as, like, say, a Dalton Varsho, for the Toronto Blue Jays, former Arizona Diamondback. Like, he's not as elite there. Yeah, Kira, the broccoli haircut, yeah. Absolutely, Kira. This is it. Yep. Where is it at? Here we go. Yep. There we go. Yep. The elite. Blake's just jealous of the curls, man. He always has been. He tells me all the time. And then
Scott wakes up.
All the time. Here we go. Does Barnes call pitches better than Smith? I will say Will Smith gets way too fastball happy, and it makes me mad. Absolutely makes me mad. He loves just calling heater after heater after heater.
I think Barnes does, but I think Will Smith has improved a lot in that regard. But I do agree with you. Will Smith is too fastball heavy often, and it sometimes ends up hurting them. But I guess he does make up for that with having an arm, because Austin Barnes has the worst arm for a catcher that I've ever seen. I mean, am I wrong?
Oh, man. What has been screwing the Dodgers more? Luck's not at shortstop, starting pitching unable to give length, or all the dead bats at the bottom?
Yes. Rank
them for us. Hallelujah. Thanks for the question.
I'm going to say starting pitchers not giving length, because that's hurting the bullpen as well. And they kind of built the team on starting pitching and the top of their lineup. So when you don't have the starting pitching working, it's putting them in a tough spot. I would say for the season, probably the dead bats at the bottom, but I do think they've addressed that enough and have fixed that issue moving forward, where when everyone comes back, it's not going to be a huge problem. So I guess I'd put Lux at the second spot there. I mean, if they weren't going to stick with Mookie at shortstop, I think that would be the last one. If they just played Edman and Rojas at shortstop, I think that would be fine. I think they get by with that. But since Mookie has wanted to play shortstop and it seems to be their option there moving forward, I think that has been a huge thing that has hurt the team quite a bit. So I'll go with that one second.
Wow. Over the dead bats.
Yeah, because I do think they've addressed that.
Okay. Well, is he saying what has been, not what's going to? I think
those are both really connected, though. So
I'm still saying, I still say this, I say the offense, like the dead bats, that's numero uno for me. Like, I was starting pitching, that's number 2, and then Lux has played, he's been offensively okay to a point where I'm relaxed on him completely. The Mookie stuff early on frustrated me because of the drop off there, but Mookie getting hit changed that, because it's like that. See, that's unavoidable. The circumstance there, that does him being a shortstop doesn't change any of that. But the dead bats at the bottom forced them into a spot where they couldn't, attack, possibly overpay for a big bat. I think, because there's just too many things. You've just got to bank on health. It definitely cost them a lot of wins. And I've said that on here a bunch. It's absolutely cost them a lot of wins. They don't have any league average thing. It's not a proper Dodgers roster without plus platoon guys and contributing role players. So for me, that's number 1, pitching number 2, and then Lux, least of my worries at this point. That's crazy to think about, because I didn't think we'd get here. But yeah, Gavin Lux, the real 09. Team should have stood up for him. Absolutely. Egregious. I'm embarrassed by last night. Dodger fans should be, for sure. Let's see. So Greg, no. Oh yeah, TQT one. Go ahead. But Nomo, you have a great question, man. TQT, is it hard to find much the past 2 months when guys like Hayward and Kike are batting cleanup? The extreme shallowness of the lineup every day is soul crushing. Do you find it hard to watch daily?
Yes. Very,
Absolutely.
hard to
Very,
watch.
very hard to watch. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, that's crazy to think about. Like Gavin Lux batting in the top. I think he's batted third, the highest this year. It's the lineups that they're putting out from what was supposed to happen. It's a hard yes. Like it's incredible. I'm going to say it. I wouldn't pay to go watch a lineup that looks like that. Not a chance. It's not in me to do that.
I get paid to go watch them, and I don't want to do that.
It's that you can't fool me on a lineup that has that many guys where you're bordering like if you just all things equal and you're saying could you just DFA them and you wouldn't feel any type of way, and there's 5 of them in the lineup. What are we doing? Who's going to that? Who's staying for a 2-hour ball game to go do that? I'm eating before. I'm drinking before the game. I'm watching the game and I'm going home. If I'm going. That'd be miserable, man. There's no way. Until the whole roster's back, soul crushing TQT. There's no chance people should be paying these prices to go watch lineups like that. No way. No way. 2 weeks, we're going to have a new chat. Come back and ask that question then. 2 weeks, I'll say yes, flood the stadium, because that's a lineup that's worth paying for sure. Until they have something. But right now, no way. It's bench guys. Bottom of the barrel bench guys through in for a lower part of the lineup, an entire one. And that's bad. That's something you can't tell me to go spend $350 to go watch. All right, finally. If both Kershaw and River Ryan pitch well for the rest of the season, who would you prefer to be a starter in the playoffs? Take it away, Boston Blake.
River Ryan for me. I don't think it's that close. His stuff is just elite, and Kershaw's stuff is not elite. The margin of error for Kershaw to be good is much smaller than River Ryan's, with that stuff difference between them.
Yep.
And I think stuff plays up in the playoffs. I'm going out there and taking the guy who's throwing hard with a 5-pitch mix versus the guy who's throwing 90 with 2 pitches. So It's not close for me. So hopefully River Ryan keeps pitching well and he cements himself into that rotation. But I do have some kind of slight feeling in the back of my head that the Dodgers would still go with Kershaw kind of regardless.
The legacy start, the 2019 Dave Roberts, Clayton Kershaw bullpen appearance that cost him the game. Legacy stuff, man. Don Mattingly type. This has been talked about a bit. Casey, it's great to see you. Appreciate you being supportive. You're always on social media, supporting us, supporting me. Appreciate you a lot. Thanks for being here. Any possibility of stuff like this being brought up? Because the hook on Clayton Kershaw, I believe, 2 days ago, correct? 2 days ago, was pretty quick. Is that something you'd like to see going forward with him? Get the hook too early rather than too late? And is that something about a piggyback scenario could be okay?
I mean, my preference just generally is pulling out a pitcher too early is better than pulling them out too late.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I do think that they should continue being aggressive, taking him out of the game. And if he's only going to go 4 or so innings a night, I think that does make sense. I'm just not sure they'll actually end up doing that specifically, because then you're losing a guy in your bullpen. You good, Scott?
Yeah, I'm good. That's good.
So, yeah, I think Justin Wroblewski would be a good piggyback option, but that doesn't really work with Kershaw. So, River Ryan.
I'm a big fan of Wroblewski. That's a great conversation. But yeah, the stuff with Kershaw in the piggyback scenario, it's like having a designated thing there. I think game scenarios, it all matters game to game. Just having a designated plan going from one to the next. Regular season, sure, but I think the playoffs is just the magnification of that. You can't be like, yes, it's Clayton Kershaw for whatever designated period, and then we're going straight to River Ryan, or whichever back end piggyback you go with. I don't think that'll be a thing in the playoffs, just because, just like Blake said, the margin for error for Clayton Kershaw is at a point where if he's not dialed in, I'm still even questioned, because the fastball, if it's not there, you saw the Padres do it. Sit one pitch, and that's all you have to do. Even the Phillies, same thing. So, yeah, GI, why would you waste a roster spot for someone pitching 3 or 4 innings and once in a series? I agree. But I'm also going to go ahead and take the heat off of him a bit and say that I know Clayton Kershaw wants to pitch, but I'm also going to go back to what he said when he was making his rehab. He didn't want to be a burden on the team. And I don't think that he's going to do that. I think if he understands that it's best for the team, and we've seen, recipes Tim Wakefield. Wakefield did this for the Red Sox in their World Series run too. It was in the best interest of the team to go without him on the roster. If Clayton Kershaw doesn't feel like his dominant self, I don't believe that he will be okay walking off after another performance like what happened in 2023. So I'm going to say again that, Aaron, chill out a bit, man. Chill out. Like Clayton Kershaw is not a burden. He's just he's got to come to the realization that this is where he's at. What's up, Jason? It's going to be, he needs to be all dialed in. Slider's got to be there. Fastball command. His stuff just not there anymore. All things have to click perfectly. And that's not it's just doesn't have the high velocity stuff. You see that with guys who throw 100 upper 90s. You can get away with something just for velocity. Clayton Kershaw is a 2-pitch guy at this time. So you can't rely on that, and you can't say the game is yours right out of the way. And the pen argument, I don't even know if you can make him a bullpen arm. You think that, Blake? See, same thing.
The stuff just isn't good. You don't want to bring that in.
There. Eat some innings, 22, chase 3,000 strikeouts, and if he shocks everyone and his stuff is to a point where that's it. But I'm still going to say, like Blake has talked about, if Clayton Kershaw is starting a playoff game for you, that says that Yamamoto didn't come back. Something happened with the rest of the front end of the rotation. Flaherty's not pitching. Glasnow's not pitching. And obviously one of the rookies or Gavin Stone didn't work out. Yeah, Kira, I was on that. We were on that with last year. Where were the young guys? Like Bobby Miller was in there, but it's more so we're like, where was Ryan Pepio? Where was that? Like, where did that happen? You know what I mean? Like, I think this is a year where we've seen enough. I've had a conversation, a bunch of them with Daniel Starkan about how this is a year for the Dodgers where their rookies and their second-year guys have been terrific. Gavin Stone has regressed a bit, but I feel like he's hitting that point and we'd be nowhere. He's one of those guys that's made every single start. He's been terrific for what he's done. I know he's ran into some hurdles, but you have to give credit to him. His early part of the season. Yeah, Casey, I know Gavin Stone right now, I don't see him as one of the front end 3 guys, and that's totally okay. We've got to give it to him. Like Gavin Stone, for what he's done for this season, he's laid it all out there. He's running into that slowdown period for him. But I hope, for the love of God, that Yamamoto makes his way back so we don't run into a same scenario of 2023. I can't run into that again. I can't give Blake I can't come pick Blake up from sitting in a dark room replaying Lance Lynn's start for 3 days straight. I can't do that, guys. That'll be too much on my mental.
Hey.
I can't do that, guys. He said, me. It's a good one. Do you feel Edgardo Henriquez, I'm going to say, yeah, Edgardo Henriquez should have the same chance to make the playoff roster as Bobby Miller, Walker Buehler, Joe Kelly, and Michael Grove, meaning they all are on the outside looking in, but have to perform. Who talked about this? I think Clint was talking about this on the other show about guys on the outside looking in. Where do you stand on him? Because, Enriquez, big right-hander. He's topped 104 this year in the minor leagues. Is he a fast track guy that it makes it an interesting stuff here? Is that like Brewstar out? Brazier, we have no idea. Joe Kelly, for whatever you think, should they consider all options? And for an arm like this, Enriquez, is he someone that if it's worth a look, do you do it?
Absolutely. I would be surprised if he doesn't get some major league time this year in preparation to see if he's going to be a guy on their playoff roster. They promoted him to AAA already, so seems like that same kind of path with Dalton Rushing. They're seeing if he can go perform in AAA, and if he does, then you give him a look at the major league level and go from there. I don't think the Dodgers have another pitcher in their organization that's similar, like maybe Kopech now, but
Yeah.
even Kopech is a few miles below Enriquez there. So, like, he's a guy you have to give a look to. He's been pitching very well. He has the elite stuff. Like, there's no downside to at least giving him a look and seeing what you can get from him. So, absolutely, they should, and I believe they will. It's just when they do it, maybe in September. So, we'll see.
Yes, he's got command. He's walking less than a batter an inning, 40 and 41 and a third across, I think it's 3 separate levels, I believe. 4 different levels this year. A ball all the way through AAA. He's walked 19 batters and 41 and a third. 70 strikeouts. He's allowing a $160 batting average. Aaron, he is a big time right-hander. Look him up. Just look him up on, just Google him, YouTube him. He's got an absolute cannon. 22 years old, big guy, 6'4", 200. He's with OKC right now. He's somebody that's definitely interesting. He could do it. Yeah, Kenny, I believe, yeah, he could do it. Like, he's somebody that I'm with Blake. They should absolutely give it a look because there's not another arm like that. Brewstar going down, they need another hard throwing guy, and hell, he comes up, he just shock everybody. Get a crazy run there. Nobody's seen him, no tape on him. That'd be terrific. That'd be wild. Let's see. RT Now LAD. What is this? RT Now LAD look like they'll be swept in October. Oh, right now. My bad. Rise Indeed. I'm a dummy. Rise Indeed. Thank you for the $2 super chat. I'm tired. I don't know why I'm tired today. I was practicing softball in Nora for like 2 hours before we hopped on.
So everyone keeps sending in super chats if Scott has to stay on all night and can't go to bed.
Oh, you guys are letting Blake win. Yes, looks like they will be. But the thing that'll keep them from this is having a starting pitching unit that'll actually give the offense a chance. Last year, they didn't give him a chance at all. Games were over, historically over, before the offense even had a chance to fight. And then you have Freddie Freeman watching, I think it was bases loaded, curveballs from Zach Gallen down the middle, ending big time threats, and you never know. And you put the offense in such a pressure spot. But sure, with this team right now, but we've talked about it for 2 weeks. Like, it's going to be a completely different team. So give it 2 weeks, completely different roster. You're going to say, why are we having these conversations? And then you can start criticizing. And then we can start talking about who are the leaders in the clubhouse, who's going to step up, where's the fire, who's manufacturing it, where does the division look, and then go from there. But swept, I think their starting pitching gives them a shot now where I'm not worried about being swept. Division-wise, sure, for right now, but I'm not looking towards October saying this is a team that's going to get blown out without even seeing what the final product's going to look like. Let's see. Give me some, Blake. Do the Dodgers use the Traject Arc pitching machine? It simulates every MLB pitcher. I believe so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dave Roberts has talked about guys using it before. It's there's only like 10 teams in baseball that don't use it. So considering who the Dodgers are and how advanced they are, I would be pretty certain to say they are one of the teams that are using it. And if we want to say the teams who aren't, it's probably like the ones you guess, like the White Sox and the Angels and those kind of teams. So yeah, if anyone doesn't know about it, you should look it up because it's pretty incredible to watch and see how it works.
Yeah.
You put in like any pitcher and it'll move where the ball's coming out of and simulates how the pitcher's actually throwing and down to like his spin rates and what pitches he's throwing and everything. So you can basically face the pitcher you're going to see before you actually go out and see him. It's costs like $20,000 a month for teams to use it. So it's up there in price.
Still can't hit. Yep, I agree. Rise and D, thank you so much. Don't you think we say the same thing every year? Sure.
Yeah.
It varies. It varies on how it looks. Like it does. Like the argument for and against. Like we can frame it however it is. Like what area of the roster is, in a plus and what's at a negative. What could be their weak link? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Every team's got concerns going everywhere. No team's impenetrable. It was just that last year we all saw that the starting pitching was on fumes and it was a Godspeed and hold on type of scenario. This year, you can't even evaluate him because we've been playing down for so long. It's an unprecedented territory for an Andrew Friedman run organization with where the roster's at. And we have to see once Muncy's back, Mookie, Freddie gets his legs under him, and how Ohtani in the new leadoff role, how that's going to affect Mookie in the second spot there. Max Muncy, Tommy Edman, Ahmed Rosario getting some roles, and then guys starting to get put into their spots where I feel like they're going to be best suited and where the Dodgers feel they're best suited. Do they? Do you think the Dodgers still have a lead by the time Mookie and Muncy are back? We talked about this a little bit earlier.
I said yes, but like
Yeah.
half a game. Wouldn't shock me if they don't. Wouldn't totally shock me if they do. It just depends on how quickly they come back.
Yeah. Keith, what's up, man? Appreciate you being here. If Shohei is clear to throw before the playoffs, that's the chances. What are the chances of Shohei going to the outfield and freeing up the DH spot for Muncy? -1,000. I don't see the Dodgers meddling with this at all. It's a good thought and something to create a little bit of versatility there. I just don't see that happening. I do not see that happening. That would be with Shohei not doing that stuff, playing the outfield, not doing those drills, rehabbing his arm, getting into a spot where he can pitch effectively next year. I don't see the Dodgers even thinking about that. But it's a good thought. It's a good theory. I just don't see that happening at all. What is it going to have to take to limit the multiple position platooning? It hasn't worked. A deep roster. A roster equipped with everyday players.
I think part of it, it hasn't worked part is they haven't had good enough players to platoon with. I think like if you see Ahmed Rosario and Dalton Rushing as your left field platoon, I think we're talking about platooning completely different than we talk about it when it's Jason Hayward and Andy Pajes or something along those lines. Like they've really let down the quality of their platoon players this year and even for the past few years now. For platooning to work, you need to have good platoon options, and the Dodgers don't have it. Yeah. If it's like Gavin Lux and Mookie Betts platooning at second base, and you slide in Miguel Rojas at shortstop when Mookie moves over to second, like I think we'd all love that platoon. I think it would produce at amazing levels.
Yes.
And like that's just right now they don't have that option. So we're seeing poor platoons as a result.
Yeah. And again, guys, like, I'll go one more time. I'll keep hammering it on there. Blake and I, this right now, August 8th, this is optimistic Scott and Blake about just holding on till we get to see like how they deploy, the guys that they've brought in and people coming back. And then, Gio, thanks for that question. And then we get to see the platoons that have it. It's an uncharted territory for me to see a team without, kind of a mercenary bat versus right-handed pitching. Jason Hayward's not it. And it says a ton about Dalton Rushing and them not fast tracking him, but saying, hey, we might need a guy. We might need a guy in left field, left-handed bat. Like it says a lot because, Jason Hayward hasn't been it. There's some changes that he can make. He's hitting the ball on the ground way too much. If he starts to elevate, he'll start to celebrate. He just hasn't done it. There's still some time. There's still a bit of time left towards the postseason. I would like them to get to a spot where you're saying right-handers on the mound, who's in the lineup, lefties on the mound, we know who's in the lineup, and not just to randomize it. Right now it feels like, and I know everybody goes, what's the lineup going to be today? Because you just have no idea because there's just no regularity. And I see a lot of lineup talk in the chat. And it's a lot of the alignments like TQT right here. This is an interesting one. And I think I would prefer Tommy Edman at short, like Kiermaier in center, and go that route and have elite defense at two spots, getting some regularity. And yeah, Lux at second base, Mookie in right field, if he's up for it. That's going to be a real question. And I know Mookie has said that he doesn't care. He'll do whatever it takes. He'll play wherever. He doesn't care where he plays. How much do we really believe that? I see Blake smirking because he's on the same wavelength there. It's like Mookie doesn't care where he hits in the batting order. Guess what? He let off. He's, that's how it is. Mookie will say that, and we'll see how it actually is. But I agree, TQT. I don't know about Rojas starting every day. Like he'll be a good spot there, but I think Tommy Edman at short, get the lead defense there in center field, Kevin Kiermaier, and you can kind of mix that, Miguel Rojas and then Edman in center. Sure. But Mookie has to want to play right field.
Yeah. I do think they are at their best if Mookie's in right field. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Inconsistent identity of this team after Gritty Dodgers. I mean, we're talking like, although you're inconsistent, and then Gritty's way down here by now. Like they've got to get back to that and then go from there. Let's see. Got a couple more here. Is Ohtani's pitching program starting to affect his rhythm at the plate? I don't think so. Orlando, what's up, by the way? I don't think so. I think Ohtani's he's a streaky guy. Big time streaky player.
Yeah, Ohtani's always going to go on his streaks of being great and then being cold for a bit. Every player does it. I think I've been thinking about this, and I feel like Ohtani's struggles and slumps are a little more pronounced than other players because we expect so much from Ohtani. Every time he comes up to the plate, we're like, this dude's going to hit a 450-foot homer and hit for the cycle today. So when he has a bad game, we're kind of like, wow, that really stood out, and he didn't do what we all expected him to do. So, like, when Teoscar Hernandez goes on his slump, we're kind of like, yeah, we knew he was going to go on some slumps. We knew there was going to be some strikeouts in his game. He'll be fine. But with Ohtani, like, the expectations are just so high for him that it does get overshadowed. Like, his slumps get blown out of proportion a bit sometimes, and we remember them a little bit more. But he'll be fine. He's doing all his pitching stuff earlier in the day, like at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, hours before the game. So I don't think there's anything to that, really.
Yeah. And Kira, this is a solid thing. And I, thank you for going on that and saying it's good to see everybody progressing. That's the amount of positive health news the Dodgers have received is the most we've seen all clumped together in quite some time, aside from Brusdar going down for a bit. Guys that they need back in the lineup. Like, I feel like they have enough bullpen, like, to make stuff work. Brusdar wasn't, guaranteed to be pitching, so I didn't really factor him into everything. But the positive news on Muncy, Mookie, Tommy Edman, it's put me in a spot where, okay, now we're on the right track. I'm so thankful that everything worked out with Max Freeman and Freddie and the family there. They're all good. So now we can start to project, but about how long will each player take? That's, that it's just going to, it says a lot about where Mookie probably feels. Probably feels ready to go. I'd assume he's just been chomping at it. And it says that he just needs a sim game, get his timing and his rhythm. Muncy's absence and Muncy being out for that period of time is more so to see if his oblique holds up, Blake, right? And just because of the amount of time is why he has to take a rehab stint.
Yeah, he's been out so long. Like, he needs to go get his rhythm and everything down. Mm-hmm. And I think they trust Mookie's bat a little bit more to, like, come back and produce quicker. He is more of a contact hitter than Muncy is, so he is going to be able to get back a little quicker, likely. So Muncy needs to go face live pitching because it's been so long.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a couple more here. Aside from any big ones, any super chats. Start airing out the dugout. Yeah, it's been a crazy one. Blake and I are going to take a few more. What is Ohtani's postseason experience? Nothing, man. This is the WBC, and he showed out, but that's all we have. But I can't act like I didn't say when I saw Ohtani have that, burst of emotion there and showing out, it did make me say he could do it. I don't lump Ohtani in with him, but, other people are like, he's, bright lights. Like, we know bright lights. I think, 33 bright lights, 33 Outman. I don't lump him in there anywhere close. Like, Ohtani wants the moment. He wants to be there, especially for a player of his caliber. He wanted to go to a place where he has a chance to be successful year after year. Mike Trout wanted to be in a spot where it's comfy. He can get paid, not have to deal with the postseason. And Ohtani, he obviously, he chose to have a contract where it will allow his team to do that. But yeah, nothing yet. No postseason experience yet.
It's asking me what my Patriots win-loss record is for the year. I'm going 6-10 with a plus or minus of 2. So high of 8, low of 4. Scott, what are your Titans doing?
We're winning the AFC South.
Okay, but what are they actually doing?
We're winning the AFC South. Billy Levis, man.
Okay,
Hop
but
on.
Madden isn't out yet.
Get
so
on.
What are they doing in real life?
Just saying. Will Levis. Just get ready, man. He's winning the AFC South. Lock it in.
All right. Let's finish it off with this one.
You can read it.
And we have a Dodger Heads where it's Jeff versus Scott with Blake at the center. Optimism versus keeping it real. I think that would be kind of fun. Just argue about everything for an hour. Go from there.
That'd be hectic. I'll wait till after the year.
Although we might need Matt to host that one with Starkend, with Jeff, and me and Scott together. Go for like complete chaos.
That'd be an all-timer. That would be, for the regulars, that'd be an all-timer. Absolute all-timer. That'd be crazy.
No, we can't have an Avengers-style show with all of us just because you said Avengers instead of like the Jedi Council show or something. So, no.
Man. All right. I don't see any more. Right on. Appreciate you guys. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to hop out of here. Unfortunately, I wish we had a game today to talk about. Ederico, I'm with you, man. Let's ride. Let's ride. Let's do it. But we appreciate you. As we record this, I see people talking about it. You're already scoreboard watching, and I understand. It's getting into some murky waters. We said that it was going to get Destiny. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. That we said it might get a little bit worse before it gets better, but look ahead, get those 2 weeks, give it that time, get some lineup regularity, and hopefully Dave Roberts sticks to his word. Cross your fingers. It's 5-3 Ederico. D-backs losing by end of the 8th. But we're going to hop out of here. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Blake and I will see you again on Sunday. Big weekend for the Dodgers. Dodgers alumni weekend. Homage to Matt Kemp. Dodgers legend. Tons in attendance there. So if you want to get a nostalgia bomb and just some terrific stuff there, something for every fan. If you've got any older fans, your dad, your mom, anybody in your family, friends, you want to pay, see some of the Dodger legends, stuff that made you a fan from childhood. This is the weekend to show out. Walter O'Malley's going into the Ring of Honor. Just some terrific stuff. Cole, we thank you. Thanks for tuning in with us. Hang on tight. Like, this is going to be 2 weeks. Could get ugly, but we're locked in. We think a lot of stuff is going to be pretty solid in the next 2 weeks. But make sure you hit the like, subscribe button. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Scott Geirman, staff editor, senior staff editor, staff writer. Not there yet. DodgerBlue.com. Blake Williams, managing editor. We'll see you guys soon. Go Dodgers. We'll stay tuned. We'll hope for the best.